What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, the official Cliffy J, and I'm back with another video. And today, I'm gonna be giving you guys another Survivor ranking. And this video will be my most underrated Survivor players. Now, you guys already know how we do these videos. I'll put the most underrated Survivor player in the S tier, some underrated Survivor players in the A tier, less underrated in the B tier, even less underrated in the C tier, and a little underrated in the D tier. Y'all know how we do these videos. So the first player that I am about to rank is Deshawn from Survivor 41. I'm gonna start this off by saying that when I watched Survivor 41 the first time and it got to the end and we're at Final Tribal, I know a lot of people thought Xander should have won. Some people was able to read through and thought Erica should have won. I honestly thought, and obviously I viewed the game much differently at this time, but I thought Deshawn should have won. And even just thinking about it, like he does have, I think, some social issues at points, and not maybe the greatest decision making strategically. But I actually think he is a solid all around player, and I don't think he really gets recognized as that. So I just want to put him on here. Not saying he's like a top 5 player of the new era or something like that. But I definitely think that if we're making a top 10 list, I don't know if his name's going to go unmentioned. Maybe not going to be on the list, but not unmentioned. You know what I mean? So yeah, the next player that I'm about to rank is Mike Holloway. And I'm actually going to put Mike in the. You know what? I'm putting Mike in the A tier because I think Mike is actually a really, really good player. And I think Mike, this is the thing. People put certain players in certain echelons and stuff like that based on how dominant of a season they were able to play. Mike was someone that was on his way to having a dominant season, but he just had a stupid set of allies because he was able to win a whole bunch of immunities and he was able to find an idol. So it's like if his allies were smart, if Sierra and the other guy, if the other guy, if they were smart, dude, they easily could have. Was Sierra on the bottom with him? I don't remember how much. But yeah, no, I know for a fact like Rodney had made an alliance and they were gonna flip the game on Mike and take over or whatever. And they had actually ended up doing that, and that's why Mike was essentially being targeted time and time again. And then a lot of people like to blame him for the auction. I just think the auction is a product of bad allies. I know that that wasn't the best moment, but I don't think that's a bad like moment as a player, especially when you take people back to camp, you explain to them, and if they were smart, they would understand. I don't think it's just he looked paranoid, he looked like a bad like I think that they were just dumb. Honestly, that's just kind of my opinion. So I think Mike is a very well-rounded player. I think he has strategic chops. I think he is decent socially. That would probably be his biggest issue, but he is good enough socially to build alliances and have close allies that will have his back. On top of the fact that he is very good at challenges. So I gotta have Mike in the eights here. They need to bring my boy on the challenge, man. No cap. No cap. The next player that I'm about to rank is I'm gonna also put Gabler in the D tier. I'm gonna put Gabler in the D tier because this is like I don't think it's gonna be an age old debate, but I definitely think that this one has a lot of potential to be one that people argue over for years. I just think Gabler should have won. I understand why Gabler won the game, and I think he deserved the win over Cassidy. If I would have been casting my vote, I would have also voted for Gabler. I do believe he did go alley Gabler. You know what I mean? I think Cassidy's challenge wins were good, but I just don't think that she didn't have enough like knowledge of what was going on. She definitely didn't have any agency. I think Gabler had around the same amount, if not more agency. You would say more agency because of who he was close to. But I can see people saying he didn't have any agency because he wasn't winning as many challenges and the fact that he wasn't the decision maker while Cody and Jesse were decision makers. But as close as he was to Cody and Jesse, I just think that gives him more credibility. You know what I'm saying? On top of the fact that he just knew more that was going on. So I think I'm actually going with the C tier. That's because I don't think he's a bad player either. I think that he deserved his win. I don't think it's a terrible win. I think it's a mid, like, low tier win, but it's a good win though. Survivor winners are good. Survivor winners are pretty good. So yeah, the next player that I'm about to rank is Danny Boatwright, and I'm gonna put Danny in the C tier. I'm gonna put Danny in the C tier because I think a lot of people are starting to. I don't know who I should put up higher. I don't know. I'm gonna just put her. Yeah, I'm gonna put her in the C tier. And the reason I'm putting the C tier is because a lot of people I think are trying to catch on, are starting to catch on to the fact that the fact that she did hide her strategy, it is a big part of it. Like, so we didn't know her thinking on like an every week basis, gameplay wise, but just what we were able to see and kind of read through the edit, you had other dominant players in the game that I think that them not viewing Danny as much of a threat and viewing her as someone they want to take deeper into the game and someone they could, to take out other threats and stuff like that. I think that has a lot to do with Danny's threat management. I think it has a lot to do with Danny's social game, which I think were also very solid for her era. Do I think she is an all-time great? Do I think she is a player that could win in modern era? Maybe not. But I do think that for her time, she's a very solid player. I think that the first 20 seasons, she would always be a good player. The way she played the game, and the way that everything was executed from her, I think that in the first 20 seasons, I'll say the first 18 seasons before Russell Hands, pre-Russell Hands, I think that she would be a very, very solid player. So yeah, got to put her in the C tier. The next player that I'm about to rank is Rupert, and I'm putting Rupert in. I'm gonna put Rupert in the in the D tier for the same reason that, like, I got him on the list for the exact same reason I got Danny on the list, because for their era, but for him it's the first 10 seasons. The first, okay, nah, for him it's like the first 5 seasons really. Like, he almost was a player that was literally like you could even argue that even on his first season he was too late. Like, he came into the game too late with his gameplay style. But I really do believe, and obviously I can't prove this, but I think the first 5 seasons, he would have been a dominant player. I definitely think he could have won one of the first 5 seasons. And honestly, he could have even won his season, if you didn't have a player as strategic as Johnny Fairplay. And that's why I don't think he could have won Amazon either, because you would have Rob Cesternino. But I think on seasons where it's not many big strategic players making moves all crazy, you know what I'm saying? I think that he could actually be a very solid player. So I think that he's good enough socially and good enough physically, on top of really good back at camp and stuff like that, to where people are going to respect him if he gets to the end. And I think he could just get to the end based off, being in the correct number at the correct time and stuff like that. So I got to put Rupert in the D tier. I think he is actually a pretty solid player for his era. You know what I'm saying? I respect all eras. I respect all eras. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, got to put him in the D tier. The next player that I'm about to rank is, I'm putting Ian in the B tier, man. I'm putting Ian in the B tier because he is like a borderline elite player. It's just a couple of little things that he does, and I mean, we all watch Palau. We seen, like, he would have. That's why I kind of want to put him higher, because I think he is a little bit. Thing is, I think a big reason that I think a lot of people don't take into account this. My boy fucking gave in to Tom because he was not going to be able to beat him in that challenge. He was already cooked, bro. I know that the whole time, and he's hoping, and trying to get the respect back from Katie and Tom. But it's like, I just feel like the fact that he quit the challenge to get the respect back or whatever, like, I just feel like he quit that not just because he wanted the respect. He also quit because he knew, okay, I can't beat this guy. This guy's endurance is insane. You know what I'm saying? He's like, this kid's endurance is crazy. And you feel me? And I understand. Tom is an amazing competitor. He's a great challenge competitor, especially at that time. So I definitely do think that had a lot to do with it too. He was willing to cut Tom, and I do think he would have cut Tom had the time actually presented itself. I think confidence is what saved Tom, which is why I just think Ian's a very, very solid player. And a lot of people put Tom in the high echelons of players. I don't see why Ian wouldn't be around the same level as Tom as a player, in my opinion. From what we've seen, he's around the same level. I think they had closer to a Dom and Wendell dynamic It's just the era they played in. Player like Tom is going to be more respected because Ian isn't like a super strategist, but he was good socially and he was playing the game. So I do think that they have more of a JT Steven, Wendell Dom like duo more than Tom just being an overwhelmingly dominant player and he did it all by himself. So and also Ian's a very competent challenge competitor also. So I think he is a very, very solid player that deserves credit. The next player that I'm about to rank is I'm gonna put Rafe in the C tier. I think Rafe is very similar to Ian in terms of like he's a borderline elite player. He's a borderline elite player. Mentally, I think they both have similar issues where their relationships and their morals and like like internally, that's kind of I think what got to both of them, at least to a certain extent. Like I just think that his relationships, same with Ian's relationships, are a big reason why they didn't get to final tribal, and a big reason why they didn't fight as hard as they should have to get to final tribal. You know what I'm saying? So like I personally think that that is a flaw in their gameplay style, which is what holds them from being elite players for me. But I do think they are literally as close to elite players as you can get. Um, so yeah, I think Rafe is a very solid player, really well rounded, very good strategically, very good socially. He was able to basically run the season with with Stephanie, and drag Danny along at points. So I gotta give him credit, man. I gotta give him credit. If I'm giving Danny credit, I gotta give him credit. So yeah, Rafe gotta be on this list, man. The next player that I am about to rank is Amanda Kimmel. And this is one that I debated on S, A, and B tier for her because I'm so on the fence about it. Because it's a lot of people that recognize her as an elite player and they'll put her like close to their top 10. Some even put her in their top 10. I just feel like Amanda Kimmel, bro, like the Black Widow Brigade gets their recognition, and I just feel like to a certain extent, Amanda almost gets the short end of the stick to a certain extent because of her final tribal, when that's her only flaw in her gameplay ability. Like, and I know it's kind of like, oh, you gotta close it, but that's why to me Amanda's underrated because she is one of the best, like best players. She is like, I mean, in my opinion, she is a top 10 player in Survivor history. Like if I'm talking about just skill, ability to play the game of Survivor, like not legacy and greatness, but like just ability to play the game of Survivor skill. I do think she is a top 10 player in Survivor history. Um, and that's just based off like she's really good physically. She's very good socially. And then if you just take into account everything, not just her China game and her Micronesia game and then early HVV game, you take into account, stuff that we know like postseason and stuff like that. She is an elite strategic player too. Like she's an elite strategic player. So I just feel like Amanda needs her credit, man. And I'm even put her above him because she got really, really close to having my top S tier spot. It's just too many people recognize her as a great player. Even where a lot of you guys have her at, I would even have her higher. So that's why she is still very underrated in my mind. I don't think it's I'm gonna be like I think that there's an argument for her as the best player to never win. I do think there's an argument. I do think she is in that tier of those other players. Personally, I know a lot of people wouldn't say that, but just her well-roundedness. Like I don't know, man. I ain't gonna get into too many hot takes. I'll leave the hot takes for later. But at this point, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like cooked. I'll just say that a certain player might be cooked. I don't know. Maybe you guys overrated a certain player I should have put on my last list. Let me know if y'all need a part two to that one because I might have to get to cooking again. Next player that I am about to rank is Tina. To me, is a very solid winner, and I think a lot of people just underrate the old school seasons. But it's a lot of little maneuvers that she did. I'm actually putting on the C tier because I think a lot of people do give her credit at least somewhat. But yeah, no, I just think it's a lot of little maneuvers that she was able to do throughout the season in such an early season that I just think she showed that a very similar thing to Rupert and Danny that in the first 10 seasons they would excuse me, they would be elite players. They would be strong players in the first 10 seasons, in the first 15 seasons. Like these would be great players, in my opinion. So gotta put Tina in the C tier. And there's her credit right there. And I'm about to ruffle some feathers with this next one, y'all. The next player that I am about to rank, you guys kind of see his cowboy hats. I'm not in that either. But yeah, the next player that I'm about to rank is Ben Driebergen. Is that, I don't even know how you say his name, but yeah, Ben. Ben, oh Lord, in the S tier. Look, guys, I'm not saying that I'm a Ben fan. I'm not saying I like Ben. But I just feel like Ben as a player, what he was able to do on his first season, this is the thing. This is the thing. I just feel like if Ben is locked in, he's there. You know what I mean? I guess I gotta look at like, okay, if he wasn't, this is not the best players list. It's not the best. Let me not get nervous about my own list, bro. This is not the best players list. This is the most underrated players list. Listen to that, guys. It's the most underrated players list. People act like Ben's one of the worst winners and one of the worst players that have won the game. Even if you look at him as one of the worst winners, what he showed on his season, he's a very solid player. He was good enough socially to build a lot of alliances and become a rat for a certain side. He was good enough strategically to play that rat role. And then when he was back against the wall, he was able to get multiple idols. Like at the end of the day, that regardless of how you feel, maybe you might have played out, what we shown in the TV edit it literally was impressive, bro. It was very impressive. It was. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, he choked on that last challenge. But even though he choked, he was this close to winning it. Like he was really close to winning that challenge. Like it's not like he's a bad challenge competitor. He's a strong challenge competitor. They've edited out challenges on seasons that he's literally won for the tribe. So it's like when I'm looking at that, then I'm looking at his feud with Jeremy and Adam completely ruined his game. Like socially completely ruined his game. So I do definitely think that matters. But it's a similar thing to like with Natalie, like where this is a really weird season to rank. These people are, how checked in are. I'm saying like how locked in was he? Was this not just to give Tony the win job? Like that's just kind of what it seemed like. But at the end of the day, like look at how deep he was able to get into the game, and he could have been at Final Tribal if he wanted to be. Like if he wanted to be. Had he not had his feud with Jeremy, I definitely do think that his game plays out even better. I think his game plays out even better. Not saying he played a great game or even a good game on Winners at War. I just think he played a solid enough game to make me realize, like, okay, it wasn't 100% a fluke. I definitely think he is good enough to get into majority alliances and be a part of numbers getting ran and strategic plays and stuff like that. And yeah, it was a little bit of goof trooping it early in the game with Rob, but I ain't gonna knock him too much for that. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and put Ben in the S tier as the most underrated player in Survivor. To me, he's the most underrated player. I think it's a lot of people that get their credit. Ben doesn't get as much credit, except for by a couple of people, it seems like. So yeah, let me guys let me know what video you guys would like to see next from me. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Push the post notification bell so you can be notified every time I drop a new lit banger. The next video I'll be coming out with will probably be coming out either later this week or next week. I'm gonna try to be full on consistent Cliffy J for you guys. And peace.